This right here is the Cycplus T3 high-powered smart trainer. Now, Cycplus makes multiple models. They have a T1 and a T2, but this one, the T3, is their flagship model. Now, Cycplus did send this for a review, and they did not ask for any footage prior to me posting my video. So they just want me to ride this, try it out, and see what I think of it, and then make a review. Let's go over some of the details of this particular trainer, and then I want to jump into what I think is probably the coolest feature of this trainer that I haven't seen unless you're spending close to $2,000 on a trainer. This comes in at $1,099. I do have a coupon code that you can use to save $200 off. I'll put that down in the description. So with that code, you'd get it for about 900 bucks. And this is what is considered a direct drive trainer. So there's no belts or anything like that in there. So inside here, they're saying that this has a 240 millimeter permanent magnet synchronous motor. And Cycplus is claiming that this motor can actually sustain 110 Newton meters of torque for a continuous amount of time. Now they've got it in this kind of like sleek design that is really thin all the way down. They've got some kind of heat vents right here. What it has is copper plates on the inside, and Cycplus is saying that the copper plates actually help cool this down a lot faster. But whenever this unit does run, you do hear noise that makes it kind of sound like a fan. And I think that's just the whole entire motor spinning. And then if there's any type of air or anything, it will come out these vents right here. The noise on this really isn't all that loud, and I'll show you guys an example of how loud it is up by your handlebars whenever you're actually riding with this. But whenever I compare it to the Wahoo Kicker version 1 that I had been riding for probably about 6 years, this one came in just a little bit quieter. So looking at the rest of the design here, I really like this design. A super thin kind of tower design with this big handle up top. I know on my last trainer, the handle was really awkward and you'd pick it up and it would swing back at you. But with this one, you're grabbing right at the middle of it, and whenever you lift it, it's pretty well balanced. Also, these legs actually fold up really nicely, so you can fit this really close to your wall, or you could put this in the back seat of a car, and there's a reason why you might want to do this with this particular trainer that I'll get to here in just a minute. But here's how you unfold this. It's got these little buttons right here, and these arms fold out. The two big legs fold out first. That's going to be the back of the trainer, and then the two little legs fold out next, and that's going to be the front of the trainer. It does have a decently wide platform, so you don't have to worry about this tipping over on you whenever you get into some really aggressive sprints. But it's not so wide that it just takes up a ton of room. It's a little bit wider than what my Kicker was. This does come with a floor mat, and those arms don't extend beyond that floor mat. So this will actually rest within, say, a standard yoga mat style width. Now, if I turn the unit around here, you'll see that down here is a power cord. This is completely optional. You don't have to use the power. And I want to talk to you guys about that here in just a minute and kind of show you some of the examples of running it with power and running it without power and what those advantages are. Now, this will work with through axles, or it will work with a quick release, and all of the different spacers are going to come with it. And it does come with a standard quick release skewer, but it doesn't come with a through axle. So you'll use your through axle that came with your bike if you're going to be using a through axle. It'll fit 148 or 142 width on the through axles. Now, the trainer has 3 indicator lights right here. Whenever this is plugged in, these will be lit up all the time. If you run this without power, these will only light up as you're pedaling. You've got a power light, a Bluetooth light, and then a network connection light. And just so you guys know, I'm running a 12-speed cassette on here. This is a VG Sports cassette. This has an HG hub. However, you can get different free hub styles. So if you have Shimano or you have SRAM, you could get Microspline or XD, or you can also get the HG hub. I'm running HG on this one because I wanted to run this oversized cassette that I run on my gravel bike. And so I had to go with a VG Sports, an off-brand that ran HG. And so this particular cassette kind of shows you how big of a cassette you could fit on here. This big cog right here is actually a 50 tooth. You could fit a 52 on there if your bike was set up for that. So if you're a mountain biker, you should be able to run your mountain bike cassettes on here with no problems. Now, after you've got this set up and you're ready to install your bike, you want to make sure that these legs are in the outer position and they're locked into place. And then you can go ahead and take your back wheel off your bike and you'll just basically load it up just as if you were installing a wheel on your bike. And then once you've got that on there, you're just going to slide your quick release or your through axle through, then you're ready to ride. Let's go ahead and talk about using this with and without power. Now, by far, one of the most unique features of the T3 is it can be ran without a power cord. So you can take this thing virtually anywhere. All you have to do is simply just start pedaling. No matter where you have this unit at, if you don't have power to it, it'll power itself with the motor that's built inside of it. This is a super cool feature that I think a lot of other trainers should incorporate. So being unplugged, you can literally ride this trainer anywhere, including out here on my backyard trail. But to me, the big advantage of having it not plugged in is if you want to take this to a race to warm up, you can easily do that. And I think with the form factor, it definitely is going to help with that in the long run. The shape of it is super easy to pack up and take anywhere with you. Now, Cycplus claims that the experience between plugged in and not plugged in is almost indistinguishable. There are only a couple things that you won't experience whenever you don't use this with a power cord. One is the simulated downhill. This has the capability of kind of keeping the momentum going. So whenever you get to the bottom of a hill, it's not just an instant full startup. You've got that coasting that's built into this, simulating that downhill feel. After you stop pedaling on this unit, the initial startup will take just a little bit to get going. So if you're going to be hooking up to apps like Zwift or anything like that, I recommend using the power cord. That way this is always connected, because whenever you do start up Zwift, if you aren't moving your pedals, it's not going to detect the trainer. But as for my experience, whenever it comes to the unplugged version of this, I only tried it a couple of times because I have a dedicated workout room that I put my trainer in, and I have access to a power plug. So I left it plugged in all the time, and I can tell you whenever it came to connecting this up with Zwift, it connected up really, really fast every single time. Now I do want to demonstrate the downhill simulation, and the best thing to do is watch this metal part right here. This will continue to spin. I have it currently plugged in. Now whenever I pedal this, and then whenever I stop, this continues to spin, simulating motion as if you were to stop spinning in the real world. Let's go ahead and let me show you what this is like whenever we unplug it. Okay, so now the unit is not plugged in. Whenever we go ahead and start pedaling, and then whenever we stop, it basically comes to a complete stop right away. It doesn't have that power to continue that simulated downhill. Now, the T3 is one of the louder trainers that Cycplus actually makes, and they even take note of that on their website. And they say if you need a little bit quieter trainer, that you could go down to the T2 or the T1. The nature of the way that this is designed with the larger motor and everything, it's just going to be slightly louder. For me, coming from a Kicker version 1, this is a little bit quieter than that. It's not quite as quiet as, say, a Kicker Core with the one hub built into it, but it is pretty quiet. This is something that I wouldn't be afraid to be riding if other people were sleeping in a close room. This is definitely not very loud. In fact, let me show you on a decibel rating how loud it is. So completely silent in my garage, not talking. I was registering around 38 decibels with, I've got a refrigerator out here that's running, and you can kind of hear the wind outside. With me talking, it's about 67 to 70 decibels. Let's go ahead and start riding and see how loud this is. So it's registering around 60 to 64 decibels pretty consistently. So it's definitely quieter than just me talking. So the T3 is definitely what I consider a premium level trainer. It comes in at $1,099. That's pretty close to some of the other premium trainer brands that we've seen out there. And it has some really cool features that definitely set this apart. If you're an extremely strong rider, I really doubt you can push this thing over its limit. This thing can handle up to 2,800 watts. I don't even know if I've ever seen myself hit over 1,000. So this thing can handle basically a professional rider's power output plus some. And it can also do an astonishing 27% grade. That is, I think, 7% higher than any grade that's on Zwift right now. And after doing a 19 or 20% grade, the radio tower on Zwift, I definitely wouldn't want to hit that 27%. That would be almost impossible to actually climb. So the trainer is built more robust than what any of the platforms or any rider out there could actually handle. Now, I personally probably put close to 100 miles on this trainer, so not a ton of time with it, but the time that I have spent with it, it really did feel every bit as good, if not better, than my Wahoo kicker. Now, granted, my kicker was fairly old. It was a version 1, but I didn't see any issues with this being able to spin up to a steep hill grade and then also lower really quickly whenever you crest the top of the hill. It really did simulate the hills and the different environments in Zwift really well. I had no issues with that. I also performed an FTP test on this, and it felt absolutely like I thought it should. There was no issues with connectivity over the time period that I've used this, and no issues with any type of overheating or anything like that. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with the T3. If you're wanting a direct drive, wheel off trainer that you use with your specific bike, this is a really good option at the price point, especially with that coupon code coming in right around 900 bucks. So all in all, Cycplus made a really solid premium trainer, and they absolutely nailed the price point. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to purchase one of these trainers, definitely use my links down below and that coupon code. But as always, get out there and ride your bike or your trainer, either way.